And, of course, Ozzie Jurek will certainly be there, and I'm going to get to him about that in a second. But first off, Ozzie, last week we chatted about Calgary and some of the challenges that they've got, some of the negatives they've got when it comes to the residential markets. And I'm still hoping that Calgary's kind of bottom is on the way up, Edmonton similarly. But boy, it's not just residential. I mean, I look at some of the office rates, the commercial size there, and it's also been in real difficulty.
Yeah, there's no question about it. You can only call it a carnage. It's sort of a ranch-sized 225 acres of new office space that's empty. That's about 27% of all the space downtown. So it looks like Edmonton and Calgary are almost decoupling. Calgary is going the other way. Edmonton is sort of hanging in there. But Mike, usually when things are down like that and available like that, there's opportunity. And for the smart investor, they're picking up maybe some of the deals that owners want to get out of. But right now, if you're a landlord, it's a tough time in Calgary.
Yeah, but it's funny. I was thinking about that because we're getting a lot of analysts suggesting that we've seen the worst of the oil market. You're seeing a pickup in rig count. You're seeing, with some of the different aspects that are going on right now that maybe Brent Wyatt was talking about this earlier on in the show. What maybe we've got sort of a $50 bottom on those prices at this point. I mean, it remains to be seen. We'll talk about that at the World Outlook Conference with Joseph Schachter. But again, if that's the case, then maybe there's some, maybe there's some opportunity there, both in the residential, or if you are a business indeed, or you're buying as an investor, there might be some opportunity if there's some, people want to get out. And you can be the buyer.
The thing is, the best time to buy is always when everybody else is running to the hills. No boom is forever up. It's always followed by a bust. Hey, but no bust is ever going down forever. It's usually followed by a boom. So it's the idea for an investor to take a good hard look at it. And I always liked Calgary to begin with. So maybe now is a good time. But it is tough out there.
Let me just ask about Vancouver for a second, because one of the things we're hearing is there's other opportunities within the country where you can buy a property and have positive cash flow there. Is that possible any longer in Vancouver?
Well, to me, that's the absolute joy. I mean, you can either be a flipper and make a quick profit, or you can have cash flow. But in some markets, you can have both. And I say, well, in Vancouver, it's not possible. Here's some examples. $265,000 buys you one-bedroom, 778 square foot place in beautiful New Westminster. With 25% down and a 2.65-year rate, you can still get them. And the strata fees, you pay about $1,150 a month. Your rent is about $1,450. Hey, cash flow. And if you don't want to go to New Westminster, you go to Joyce Street SkyTrain station. Easy for me to say. Boza built those buildings in 2006, so they're not that old. 25% down, same 5-year financing. All the costs in are $1,220, rents under $1,500 to $1,600. So there you have cash flow, and maybe an upside as well.
It is interesting. One of the other things I note in your newsletter that, people sort of put their list of, kind of places to invest, the major urban centers. I mean, Toronto would top that list this year. Probably Vancouver certainly has in the past. But I was kind of surprised to see this Prairie City jumping up there pretty strong.
Yeah, well, from a cash flow perspective, if you could spend $90,000 on a condo, you'd almost have to go to the deep south in the United States. But $90,000 a door, 2.9% vacancy rate, and it's in Winnipeg. It's still a major city. The reason is, of course, we always preach that values go where people go, and they have a very high in-migration, 27% spike in international immigration in the second quarter, and net population gain. And that means that Winnipeg, the rental rates have been rising. You get almost $1,100 a month, and at a $90,000 payment with 25% down, that's serious cash flow.
Well, I'm wondering if you're starting to feel the pressure right now, because you're going to be talking a lot about that kind of stuff for investors next week's World Outlook Conference. You'll be there, of course, speaking on Saturday. And you got it. Last year you did very well. I was noting in my notes from last year you had about 7 recommendations that went up well over 15%. If you paid full price, and not many people do, but boy, if you did the down payment, you're up about 100+% on some of those. So, of course, everybody wants to know, what have you done for me lately? So you're going to have a list, I guess, next week.
Well, it'll be exciting. I'm so excited I can hardly sit in my seat here, and I'm looking forward so much. I'm looking forward to what I have to say myself. So
there you go.
I'm looking forward. And Mike, I want to leave you with this. Everybody's always looking for making money. Zaza Gabor had a great way. She says, I'm a marvelous housekeeper. Every time I leave a man, I keep his house.
Well, Ozzie, I won't nail you with a hot property today, but I will say I expect several next week at the World Outlook Conference.
And I'll be there.
Great stuff, Ozzie.